Hello and welcome to Catholic Current, where we discuss our faith and give you an update on events affecting the Church in the United States. From Washington, D.C., I'm Mara Moser. Today in studio is Michael Sheedy. Michael is the Executive Director of the Florida Conference of Catholic Bishops. Welcome, Michael. Thank you for joining us.
Maura, it's a pleasure. Great to be here.
So you are here in Washington, D.C. for a meeting of the National Association of State Catholic Conference Directors. And for people who might not be aware of the work of state Catholic conferences, what do they do?
Sure. Well, state Catholic conferences serve as a liaison to state governments on behalf of bishops of a given state. We work primarily in the legislative process, lobbying the legislature, also interacting with the executive branch of state governments, and at times also filing briefs and that kind of thing in the state court system. We do, again, serve as their emissaries, and we have a unique opportunity to do what all Christians really do, which is try to bring the teachings of the Church, our faith in Christ, to wherever we go. But we do it in a very formal way on behalf of the bishops.
You know, I think a lot of people have commented on society growing more polarized. And in some ways, the state Catholic conferences can act as a bridge. Can you talk a little bit about the way that the conference can serve as a bridge?
Absolutely, Maura. We do our work in a very nonpartisan way, which is really good. We work based on principles. We work across the aisle on various issues. It's also interesting that the things that we care about, our priorities, don't always find a home with one particular party. So we have to work with all parties, and we do that in a nonpartisan way.
Yeah, so you're here as part of a national association and, of course, work in Florida. What are some of the priorities that you are working on and discussing with your colleagues here?
Sure. Well, we do have an opportunity, of course, we engage in fellowship, but we also reflect deeply on matters affecting the Church and society today. We'll be looking more deeply at artificial intelligence because it's a growing area of just growth and of interest, but also for the policy frameworks that need to be established around that. Also, we're looking into, issues of human dignity, such as the commodification of people, digging more deeply into those issues. We're also aware of some of the challenges and pressures that are being faced by Catholic healthcare organizations as they seek to be, faithful to our teachings and promoting the common good, as there are different pressures to undertake procedures that perhaps are, certainly we would say, unethical, that kind of thing. We'll be working with folks who are involved in prison ministry while we're here as well. And we'll be getting a better lay of the land for just the policy landscape at the federal and national level from the staff of the U.S. Bishops' Conference.
One other issue that I know affects all state Catholic conferences is migration.
Yes.
And I understand that a delegation of state Catholic conference directors went to the border last year. Were you part of that delegation? And if so, what were you doing there?
Well, I was scheduled to be there, but I could not go. But they were trying to get a feel for the situation on the ground to better address some of the political challenges that are being faced and some of the discourse that's happening, particularly of a more polarizing nature. I think that it's a very interesting, it's a very complex topic, to be sure. I think that there are many facets to it that need to be evaluated. And I think that the Bishops' Conference and individual bishops want to make sure that they have a good grasp of the entirety of the situation. The policy framework, the human side, the safety concerns, certainly. Just a lot of issues to balance and to be mindful of as we push for a solution that addresses an urgent need in our society.
Why is it so important that Catholics be involved politically at the state and local levels and remain kind of active and involved in their political responsibilities?
Right. Well, Jesus' call to us, of course, is to love God and love our neighbor. Part of loving our neighbor is being involved in our communities and in our common life. And it's really a virtue for us to be involved. It's a responsibility, it's a calling, and it's an opportunity that is unique to us in America, certainly among other parts of the world. It's a great opportunity, it's a responsibility, it's intrinsic to our calling, both in our local communities as well as our families, but also on a broader level, certainly in the state and national and international levels as well. I know it's part of the charity that Pope Benedict said that the church owes to the world to be involved politically.
And how did you get involved in this work, Michael?
Well, as a child growing up in Tallahassee, I first heard about our State Catholic Conference through family friends. Actually, the founding director of our State Catholic Conference and my parents were part of groups that gathered for prayer and devotion. And so I knew the director of our State Catholic Conference growing up. And so it wasn't a big surprise to me that it existed. I never envisioned, of course, that I would one day work at one, but I guess the short of it is, going through life, work experiences, education experiences. I had an opportunity to come to Tallahassee after working in Catholic healthcare as a mission integration vice president to work as something of a state Catholic health association at our State Catholic Conference. So I'll be working with Catholic health ministry leaders in Florida and advancing their priorities and helping them to work together in our state. But that's what drew me back to Tallahassee, my hometown, and to this work.
And what advice do you have for others who might want to be involved or learn more about the work of State Catholic Conferences?
Well, of course, abide in the vine, stay close to the Lord in the church. I think it's really important to have a strong degree of competence, either in a subject area, whether it's immigration, whether it's education, respect life activities, and also to have some understanding of the political process as well. Those are things that are really important. When we look to bring people on board to work with us, we're looking for those kinds of, demonstrated, closeness to the church, but also high levels of, academic or intellectual competence and experience in some ministry of the church or in the political process.
What kind of resources do you provide to laity who may be interested in learning more about the church's positions on various issues?
Well, each State Catholic Conference has got websites with position papers and opportunities to engage Catholics, through electronic networks, providing reports as to issues that are happening or evolving or being taken up in their states. I would say that perhaps one of the best resources is provided by the U.S. Bishops' Conference, which is a document that gets a lot of attention during election years, forming consciences for faithful citizenship. It's sort of the blueprint for so much of the work that we do at State Catholic Conferences. And I think it's hopefully getting a lot more interest among the laity. I know it's a somewhat long document, but it's really very insightful. It's very rich as well.
It sure is. Well, thank you very much, Michael, for joining us here in studio. We appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with us. Is there anything you would like to add before we conclude today?
Just that, really thankful to be here, Maura. It's a great time for us State Catholic Conferences to come together, State Catholic Conference directors to come together and to share a bit more about our work.
All right, may God bless you in the work of all of those that you'll be meeting with this week.
Thank you, Maura.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Catholic Current. You can find out more about this week's topic by visiting us online at usccb.org or follow us on social media at USCCB. I'm Maura Moser. See you next time.